my name is Concept. I'm so glad that you decided to click on my video today. I'm here to talk about the end of the world, or at least the end of life as we have known it. I'm making this video today because after the recent events that have occurred in the world, I've noticed a heavy uptake in climate related anxiety and really global event related anxiety and dread in almost everyone I know, as I'm sure that you have as well. The reason that I'm making this video is to offer my perspective in a way that I think we could ease the fear, the anger, the sadness that I think all of us are experiencing right now in relation to the changes going on around the world, and to offer a suggestion I had of how we could be more merciful and kinder to ourselves and those around us as we live through these extraordinary times. I'm honored for the opportunity to speak with you today, but before I begin, I wanted to say that the contents of this video may be very triggering for some people, including discussions of death, social unrest, and of course, climate change. If you don't feel like you're coming from a place of mental stability at this time, you may wish to consider turning off the video, engaging in self-care activities, and consider returning again at a later time. Never be afraid to reach out for help. Remember that you're never alone. Over the last several weeks, we've observed the formation and destruction caused by several major hurricanes in the Caribbean, Mexico, and parts of the southeastern United States. As someone who lives in the United States, the destruction caused by Hurricane Helene was especially notable, as it traveled multiple hundreds of miles inland and caused severe damage and loss of life to parts of North Carolina, taking a path that was unpredictable and shocking to meteorologists worldwide. And then, before we had even finished counting the dead or having accounted for all of the missing from Hurricane Helene, came Hurricane Milton. Milton was surprising to weather scientists because of how quickly it had formed. And while we were lucky that it did not cause as much destruction as was initially feared, it did still cause significant loss of life. And the economic damages from Milton have yet to be fully calculated. Outside of the United States, of course, we have Cuba, which has suffered the brunt of multiple major hurricanes over the last several weeks. Cuba, of course, has been mostly without power for the last several days, and its government and social resources are currently under a huge amount of strain, threatening the social fabric of the country itself. For all the people who lost loved ones or suffered damage or destruction of their homes, our hearts are broken for you. For all the people who lost their lives during these storms, we grieve for you. Time restrictions to this video prevent me from mentioning specifically all the places and people who suffered due to these meteorological events, but believe me, my heart is with all of you. But even for those not directly affected, these events have struck a chord of fear. If changing global climate patterns can cause such destruction in the lives of those people, what's to stop it from causing destruction in my life? And the answer, of course, is nothing. We all live on the same planet, and we all will be affected by the Earth's shifting climate. We all have to deal with the terror now of possibly one day lacking access to basic necessities such as food, water, shelter, electricity. I'm not going to spend time in this video trying to convince people that climate change is real or what may or may not be causing it. All I will say for now is that we're individually and collectively going through a grieving process for the planet, and that the first step of grieving is always denial. Of course, no one can tell exactly what the future will hold, but I do think most of you would agree that it's not just the climate. We're likely to face continuing and increasing levels of disruption due to the ongoing economic, technologic, ecologic, and sociologic crises that we are facing. What is now considered normal will begin to seem like a more and more distant past. The time for business as usual has passed, and this, of course, raises the question of what do we do about it now? I would propose that we have two choices. We can continue as many of us have been doing and allow the fear, sadness, and anger of current events to overwhelm us. In many ways, reacting with these emotions may seem normal or almost desired. Of course, we've evolved as a species to ensure our own survival and the survival of our families. And these strong emotions have often helped us to gather the resources necessary for survival and to defend ourselves against those forces that threatened us. On the other hand, though, left unchecked, these emotions can often lead to such things as conspiracy theories, xenophobia, irrationality, and unnecessary violence. You don't have to consume much post apocalypse media in the form of movies or TV shows to understand that the atrocities committed by humans on other humans that occur after a disaster often cause more suffering than the initial disaster did itself. More specifically, we have received reports from North Carolina that FEMA teams have had to evacuate on at least one occasion due to threats of being killed by local militias that were quote unquote hunting them. This obviously does not make anything better. Hunting FEMA teams and those trying to help will only discourage future people from engaging in rescue missions and doing other things to help the humans around them. Certain groups are proposing that we, quote, destroy Doppler and attack weather stations to prevent hurricanes from being formed in the first place. Again, this can only make things worse. Destroying weather stations and equipment will not prevent hurricanes. It will only prevent us from predicting them and being able to prepare for them. More generally, it has long been observed that racism and xenophobia tend to increase during times of economic and other forms of social stress. These types of fear and anger reactions, again, can only serve to make things worse. I propose an alternative reaction. We can choose to be courageous. We can learn to not allow fear to overwhelm us. We can choose to be kind. We can choose to live in the present. We can choose to learn to develop the emotional maturity that is needed to deal wisely with the situations that are presented to us during these extraordinary times that we've been born into. It should seem obvious, but the truth is that each of us were always going to die one day. Regardless, death has always been an inevitable part of the human experience. Some of the climate related and other disasters and events that are coming are now inevitable, no matter how much social action is taken. We can choose to face what's coming with courage, generosity, and nobility, or we can do what is easy and allow fear to overtake us, to become like animals again, to lose our humanity, and in the end, to die anyway. It helps if you can believe in something greater than yourself. For some of us, it's organized religion, but for many of us, it's not. For those of us who are not lifted by words of the Spirit, let it be humanity that lifts you up and gives you courage. Let it be beauty, love, courage, whatever human principle it is that lifts you up. Allow that to carry you forward and guide your actions. I guess the way I've phrased things makes it pretty clear what option I prefer. But I would like to hear from all of you. Please leave a comment letting me know how you hope yourself and others might react when things hit the fan. How do you expect people to react? And what can people do now to mentally prepare themselves for the inevitable disruptive events that are likely coming in the near and far term future? It's autumn right now in the Northern Hemisphere, October 2024. If you're lucky enough to live in a place that has trees with leaves that change color, go outside and enjoy the fall colors. Wherever you are, enjoy the blessings of the moment and remember that tribulations are only temporary. I love you all, and I hope to see you again sometime.